Gilded Age Season 3 took a devastating turn as Episode 2 crashed a lot of dream, while Episode 3 trailer just confirmed that things will get even worse for a lot of our beloved characters. So let's talk about it. If you've been rooting for Gladys and Billy Carlton, then yeah. Episode 2 probably crushed you a little, as it did me. The episode started off with Gladys still hiding out at Billy's family home after fleeing her mansion. I mean, yes, she is still a rebellious teenager, but I think it is also obvious that she's genuinely in love with Billy and hoping she can finally take charge of her own future. And I don't know about you guys, but I couldn't help but to root for her the entire episode, only to be disappointed in the end. Gladys's little escape forced a showdown between her, Bertha, and Larry, and things got messy fast. Bertha immediately rejected Billy as a viable match, even though Gladys met him with the help of Larry and Mrs. Fish. The problem is that Billy's social standing doesn't match Bertha's ambitions. In other words, love doesn't cut it. George, who is back from Arizona, walked into this chaos and felt understandably torn. He once told Gladys she could marry for love, but now he's watching that dream slip away under the weight of expectations. And the worst part is that I can see he doesn't quite know how to fight back against Bertha's iron will. But based on the Episode 3 trailer, we know for sure that he will find that way to fight back. And that way is none other than the initiation of divorce. But I'll talk more about that in a second. What makes it more painful is that Billy actually tries to do the right thing. He shows up at a Young Women's Christian Association benefit hosted by Aurora, hoping to ask George for permission, but he chickens out, and that very hesitation seals his fate in the end. By the end of the episode, Billy breaks things off with Gladys. And as you can imagine, Gladys is absolutely devastated. Even though Bertha's whole storyline in this episode is centered on Gladys, it's clear she's thinking far beyond one suitor. She has her eyes on a much more strategic prize, aka the Duke of Buckingham. And, yep, he also returns in the final moments of Episode 2, looking every bit the part of a powerful match. He's not alone either. He comes with an attorney, which tells me one thing. This isn't going to be some casual courtship. There's going to be negotiations, terms, expectations, all the machinery of a 19th century arranged marriage disguised as a social alliance. And I truly feel for our poor Gladys. She deserves way more than a business arrangement. In Episode 3, we will learn that Bertha made the Duke an offer he couldn't refuse. And no, the offer was not purely romantic. She basically sold her daughter for status, which is simply tragic. Well, turns out the creators of the show believes that this is the true nature of any marriage. And that's exactly why Gladys' story is so important. Julian Fellows said, "Marriage is a crapshoot. Nowadays, we live together, sleep together, do all these things, but in the end, you don't really know the person you've married until you've married them." So imagine just how scary this world is for someone like Gladys. She's expected to smile and nod through decisions that will shape her entire life. And sure, arranged marriages were the norm in this era, but that doesn't make it any easier to watch her get shoved into one. At least not for me. But let me know what you think about it. Morgan Spector, who plays George, also had a thoughtful take on this particular story, as he said, "Some of those marriages really last. Some of them are very happy. It's not impossible that there can be joy and real fulfillment in those relationships." Maybe that's true. But I'm not convinced Hector Buckingham is the key to Gladys's happiness, especially when it's clear her heart is still broken. So now the big question is, what happens next? In Episode 3, we'll see Bertha waste no time pushing Gladys toward the Duke. With Billy out of the picture and Hector conveniently back in New York, I wouldn't be surprised if the next episode opens with Bertha setting up formal introductions or even negotiating terms with his attorney. We'll see Gladys forced into some kind of social function with him, where she'll have to pretend everything's fine. But behind the scenes, she'll be miserable. Nevertheless, the marriage preparations will kick off despite all her protests. George didn't say much in Episode 2, but he definitely looked uncomfortable with how things ended. I think in Episode 3, we will see him try to reassert some control, reminding Bertha of his promise to Gladys or warning her about pushing too hard. He's never been as cutthroat as Bertha, but he loves their daughter too much to simply let her go. And this will undoubtedly strain their relationship with Bertha, to the point that George will reconsider his entire marriage with someone like Bertha, as he will no longer recognize her. Do not be surprised to see Bertha trying to form an alliance with Aurora, since they'll both be the divorced victims of this season, struggling to survive in the brutal societal standards of the Gilded Age. Larry has always been close with Gladys, and he helped her sneak around with Billy in the first place. Now that things have fallen apart, I wonder if he'll step in and try to protect her from the next phase of Bertha's matchmaking scheme. I wouldn't put it past him to start digging into the Duke's background, maybe trying to find reasons why Hector might not be the right fit. And honestly, at this point, Larry is the only hope that Gladys has in surviving this marriage scheme. And then there's the press. The episode is called What the Papers Say for a Reason. That tells me the gossip columns will start playing a bigger role soon. Between Gladys running away, Bertha pulling strings, and Aurora's husband asking for a divorce, it's only a matter of time before scandal makes it into the headlines. And Bertha will absolutely hate being the subject of gossip she can't control. For more weekly updates and discussions on the Gilded Age Season 3, make sure to like and follow. Meanwhile, the video on the screen might also interest you.